Bravo.
We just got into Kotor. We're staying in the old town. We're knocking about. First impressions?
Pretty good.
Pretty bloody cute.
It's pretty insanely awesome.
We need some new adjectives. But we've obviously been just lounging about in Budva on the beaches, so we're going to get our tushies moving and climb this mountain. I'll see you in 20 minutes when I'm passed out on the side complaining and hating life. Bye!
Let's get it.
We walked about 20 metres and there is a fellow in a booth stopping people. It's going to be €8. It was €8 each for us to do this little walk just on the outside. So I don't know what it is that we're paying for.
Yeah.
Except for permission to pass.
Yeah.
Bloody troll.
It's a bit cheeky, really.
Well, the ticket is steep and this walk looks steep. Don't you love that when your flight or fight response is tested? You're like, yeah, I'd fight, man. No, I was like, get me out of here. Shriek. We're taking a little break halfway up our walk to take in these breathtaking vistas of Kotor and the old town. 650 steps so far. I need to catch my breath. You can see that Kotor is surrounded by the water, and this is one of the most important part of the city, is that it was a fortification with a really strong naval base, changing hands between the Illyrians, the Venetians, ultimately coming into power by Austria-Hungary at the start of World War I. And this became a naval base for the Austrian-Hungarian Empire to launch their attacks during the First World War. Formed a part of Yugoslavia, and then during World War II, the Italians took over and annexed it as a part of Kotor and Albania. The name for Kotor in Italian is Katara, and this is what it was known for most of its time, most of its history, except for that period that it was under Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and now it is officially Kotor. Behind me is the Church of Our Lady Remedy, which is another fun part of the history. Apparently, if you come up here on November 21st every year and you climb those 650 stairs barefoot, you are guaranteed health for the next 4 months only. We're a few weeks out from that, and I don't know how brave I'd be to do that walk barefoot. She's a bit slippy. Onward and upward we go. Changed my name to Tom because I'm peeping.
So we're at the Kotor Fortress at the top of Kotor, which is at the very top of the wall that surrounds Old Town in Kotor. The interesting thing here is that it is still fully connected. It's a bit ruined in some spots. We'll see more of it in a couple of days, but it's actually 5.5 kilometres in length, which makes it one of the longest fortress walls still in existence today.
So worth it. I'm shaking a little bit. That was beautiful though. That's totally worth the kish. What an incredible experience. What an introduction to Kotor.
Hello, good morning. So we're here at the Blue Caves in Kotor. I wonder why you call it Blue Caves. You can probably see in the video. But we're doing a bit of a cruise around the Bay of Kotor today, so check that out. We checked out some submarine bases and also Our Lady the Rocks, a little monastery church thing on an island. We're about to jump in. So they've got a saying here in Kotor, which is fiaka. Fiaka means when you sit there and stare at the ocean, your body and soul sort of come into alignment and everything becomes clear. Everything else outside of the world sort of goes away and disappears. And I kind of had my fiaka moment this morning when we were cruising around in the Bay of Kotor, where sort of realised that while I was trying to rush to get ready to sail and to be the perfect sailor for both myself and for Danielle and for what we were trying to achieve, I was rushing to get that done. When we get back to Adelaide and when we get back to Australia, I've got my whole life to become a good sailor. It almost felt like this burden of failure has kind of dissipated just in this moment, 6, 7, 8 months later. But absolutely beautiful, beautiful day. So Kotor's really known for two things. The first of those things is its maritime history, both naval and trade history, which makes this place old money. But the maritime history obviously interests us and it interests me mostly. So we're here at the Maritime Museum, right next to our accommodation, and we're going to check that out. Let's go. So Kotor was actually a centre for Navy schools around the world. They were known worldwide for the quality of captains that they produced. So from all over the world, people were sending their Navy personnel to Kotor or Paras just down the road in order for them to be taught, which established Kotor as a real centre for naval activity, which therefore lent itself to a lot of maritime trade, lending itself to the riches of the 16th, 17th century that Kotor had, and they were a very, very wealthy city. And I tell you what, you can tell that being in Old Town, which is 500 years old, you're still looking at things that are still standing and you're living in. The wealth is clearly well established. Now, as strong as the Boca Marine was, so the Gulf of Boca is where Kotor is, right? So the Kotor Navy. As strong as they were, the Napoleonic Wars just absolutely decimated them. So come the 19th century, these guys had to start again. Ever wonder where the name for speed on water came from? The knot? It might be this little device here. So this plate here would be dropped into the water and that would hold resistance and you'd consider that stationary. And then as the rope sped out off of this reel, the bosun or whoever was doing it would be checking the rope and feeling for these knots here and would count the number of knots that would pass. And then based on the number of knots that passed over a certain period of time, that would be the speed of the boat, measured in knots. That's how many nautical miles you were doing per hour. So for those that have any sort of nautical inkling, I would highly, highly recommend the Maritime Museum. The detail it goes into is pretty cool, and it's a great little history lesson. But beyond that as well, even if you're not a nautical buff, Kotor is so founded on its nautical history that if you want to understand this place a little bit better, going there is your answer. The second thing that this place is known for is its cats. Cats of Kotor.
So here is an example of making up shit. You can't rely on everything that you read, kind of thing, or deductions that people make. So there are a few cats knocking about and one cat souvenir store in Kotor. Then a cat museum opened up. And then funnily enough, after they opened the cat museum, more cats started to appear around the city and more souvenir stores started to open supporting and celebrating cats in Kotor, that so much so that it's now become synonymous, Kotor and cats, to the point where people are now falsely claiming that Kotor is named such because of the cats that were here, because in Italian, Kotor is Katara, and during the Italian occupation and the long Italian history when it was originally called Kotora, spelt with a C, and now Kotor, they both sound like cat and have cat in the title. Nothing to do with nothing. Happy accident?
Happy accident. I did see these masts this morning. I thought it was a bit weird to see a mast from our bedroom.
Do-do-do, do-do-do. How bizarre? How bizarre. Do-do-do, do-do-do. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. You're making me crazy.
The Cathedral of Trifon, which is an old cathedral, 1166 it says. One thing to note about this place, well, a couple of things. It's the biggest in the town, but another thing to note that in 1667 there was a massive bloody rockfall earthquake, and the rockfall from the mountains in behind this cathedral actually came down and took out both of these towers, whilst it wasn't the only place in Kotor to get damage from that earthquake. It certainly was the most significant damage and stood out the most of all damage that was sustained. And a massive rebuilding phase had to happen in the old town to get everything back up and running. So as beautiful as this mountain range is that Kotor sits in the shadow of, there are some dangers and some fallbacks that come with that.
Dobar dan, good morning. We're finishing off our time in Montenegro by just doing this little coastal tour. We've stopped in Paras just for a stroll this morning, and then we're on our way. This has been so wonderful, Montenegro. I cannot speak more highly.
Yeah. Cannot be overstated. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, truly. And beautiful people as well. It was a really nice, just been a great experience. So get your butts here.
So thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next week when we hit Dubrovnik. If you like what you see here, make sure you share it with your mates, but also here's a little link so you can check out where we started from the very get-go.
And how the bloody hell we got here. We'll see you next time on Never Not.